Good evening, you're watching NewsX. I'm Megha Sharma. This is 6 p.m., which means it is time for the NewsX Business World Atmanirbhar Mission special telecast. There are going to be a lot of startup owners, there are going to be a lot of entrepreneurs who are going to be joining us on the broadcast in just a few seconds. In fact, Anurag Batra is going to be joining us, who is the chairperson and the editor-in-chief of Business World, who has gone ahead and curated this entire panel. Let me not waste any time whatsoever and introduce all my guests on the broadcast at this point of time. Vipin Jain, who's the CEO and co-founder for Fitspire; Satpura Pine, who's an actor and a model, who joining me on the broadcast; Kumar Anubhav, who's the founder and director of Not On Map, also joins me on the broadcast; Rishabh Kothari, who's the CEO of CKC Fragrance and the president of the FAFAI, on the broadcast with us. Also on the broadcast with us is, last but not the least, Harshvardhan Bhatkuli, who's the director, Sawa Fair Advertising. Anurag will join us in just a short while, but a very interesting bunch. I would be very interested in knowing, Harshvardhan, first of all, what exactly is it that you do? You go ahead and say, Director, Sawa Fair Advertising. What is the kind of advertising that you go ahead and take? Yes, and also for the fact that the pandemic has gone ahead and also showed us. The pandemic has also, Harshvardhan, the pandemic has also shown us that the number of these advertisements had reduced drastically. At least the commercials that you do come, and then they have again revived.
Whenever crisis strikes, advertising gets struck first. So we have been at the receiving end of the pandemic for the most, the biggest volume, and especially more so because print advertising has been totally out of the red. In the past few months, in the last 2 months, from September, October onwards, there has been a slight rise, especially because of the festivals. And festivals have brought advertising spend a little bit in the move right now.
Right, absolutely. And if you could just, talk to us about your advertising firm, Sawa Fair. What is it? What are the kind of projects that you go ahead and entail?
Agency based out of Goa, and we do a lot of tourism and real estate based work. We have been in the field for the past 27 years, and in fact, I started the agency while I was still in college.
Okay.
So it's been quite a journey for me over here. But okay, I have seen the ups and downs of the spend in terms of the dates are concerned, but nothing like the coronavirus. Okay. Everything stopped for the first 2-3 months.
Okay, Harshvardhan, I'll come to you in just a short while with some detail, wanting to understand the dynamics of advertising in wake of the pandemic and the lockdown and how it has gone ahead and revived. What do the statistics and the numbers say? But let me also introduce Vipin Jain, who is the CEO and co-founder for Fitspire. Now, Vipin, Fitspire goes ahead and indicates that obviously it has to do with fitness. And the pandemic has ensured that people are utilizing all the resources at their home, because even though the gyms have opened up, people are still afraid of going ahead and utilizing the equipment over there, going ahead in a public space and working out. So what does Fitspire do at the first place? And how has the pandemic been for you?
So, hi, good evening everyone, all the viewers and all the panelists. So Fitspire is, as you know, the name suggests, we are aspiring people towards fitness. And when I say that, we are aspiring people towards fitness through the best of the products, more authentic, more genuine, the best formulations. We are working on integrated formulations which we bring back to India. While, I was traveling across the globe, I've traveled most of the countries, and, I see that, a lot of Indian people were buying the health products and, the health wellness products and bringing back to India. So the idea was already there in my mind that, why not to, do something for our country and, bring something similar to our people, which fit into their pocket size. So we are focused vegan and vegetarian health wellness brand.
Okay.
We work from all the segments like health segment, sports wellness, personal wellness, and kids wellness. We cater from the USP which we play around. In terms of pandemic, I think this has impacted everyone, all the businesses, all the individuals. Every individual focus on this planet is to work on their immunity
Yeah.
So, so the pandemic has benefited us in terms of, bringing more visibility, more knowledge towards, buying and, consuming the health products.
Okay.
On the other side, yes, there have been the business challenges in terms of, the logistics to, different.
Okay, all right. So in just obviously it has been an inspiring, eye-opening experience for everybody, including when it comes to Harshvardhan, including we just spoke to the founder of Fitspire. He's going to join us momentarily. There seems to be an audio connection problem over there. But Dr. Anurag Batra joins me back on the broadcast. Welcome on the show. It's fantastic to see you again after
have you back on the show after?
Yes, after a brief spell. Yes.
But when I grow up, I want to be like you. I want to go to Goa. That's what I want to say. But let me bring in Harshvardhan Bhatkuli, who lives in Goa and understands what's happening in the business environment in Goa. He brings out a business magazine which is focused on the state of Goa and just looks at what's happening. So, Harsh, how have been the last 8 months for you as an entrepreneur? And what are the changes that you see that entrepreneurs are doing in your home state of Goa to stay relevant and pivot around the opportunities that the new abnormal provides? Harshvardhan Bhatkuli?
So Anurag ji, the big difference is I would like to break this into maybe 2 parts. The first 3 months were a blur. I mean, everybody was doing nothing and just and there were so many things which were just there was cross communication which was happening because more of a fear psychosis. And Goa being a tourism oriented state was impacted the most because there was no travel. Inbound travel was not there, outbound travel was not there. And more importantly, we have around 5 to 6 million foreign tourists who come to Goa every year, and that had just stopped. So hospitality was the biggest
loser
of this. Yeah. And so in the past 2 months, after the proper unlock, the unlock 4 and unlock 5 happened, things are moving a bit at a brisk pace over here. One of the grassroots entrepreneurs are the shack owners. The shacks have just started to open over here, but the shack owners look at foreign tourists to provide their daily bread.
Our internal guests are Indians making for some part of the cost of tourists.
The thing is that the Indian tourists today.
Absolutely, Anurag. I can vouch for that.
Indian tourists has been a big spender in Goa. Unfortunately, they are not getting that view because they look as you are a very own people. The stress has been on foreign tourists, but mistake not, the Indian tourists spend a lot of money in Goa, and that has been happening on a very, very brisk pace over here. People, every second car in Goa has a maybe Delhi plate or a Mumbai plate. Yeah. Or a Karnataka plate or a Gujarat plate. And the last 10-15 days, the big difference in Goa's tourism, unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know what it is, has been the opening up of casinos. And the deal in Panjim city, the capital city of Goa, is unprecedented. This is even more than what happened before COVID happened. The entire streets are packed with all these cars, and it seems to be some kind of
Megha was one of them when she was in Goa whole week.
Absolutely, yeah. Because you see a very encouraging trend. Yes, you're right.
Yeah. Do you think it's time to bring back mining? The government.
The mining thing is a legal battle.
The government has liberalized the mining sector. It's attracting, foreign direct investment. It has made mining more attractive. Do you think to revive the economy, it is time to bring back mining?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, right now, the government is grappling with the idea of bringing mining whether in the old format or to open up mining for new entrants. That is the challenge which the government is grappling. 2022, early 2022 is election time in Goa. I don't think the government is going to take a very big decision in a jiffy right now because they are looking at the votes.
And Harshvardhan, if you had to put a number, if the business was at 100 in March before the lockdown, where are we in Goa on 20th November? Are we at 40, 30?
We could be between 30 and 40, right?
Okay, that's not a bad position to be.
That's not a bad position.
The tourism.
But the most important thing is that with the opening of tourism, there is market confidence in it.
Okay, we'll come back to you, Harsh, again. Let me bring in Satrupa Pine. She may be a familiar face. Those who watched the calendar, movie Calendar Girl would have seen Satrupa as one of those calendar girls in the movie. She's a creative entrepreneur. Satrupa, for people like you who are in the creative arts, who are in the performing arts, who are shooting movies, only in the last 2 months has, shooting of new content, whether for OTT or for cinema halls, has come back. How has been the journey for an artist like you in the last 7-8 months? How have you pivoted as a solopreneur? What have you done to be able to kind of keep yourself afloat, both in terms of financial, inputs, as well as mentally keeping yourself agile? Satrupa?
Yeah, right. So, big hi to all of you, the panelists. Audible?
Yeah, you're very audible, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. So, talking about the COVID-19 pandemic has actually made a substantial impact on the film industry, mirroring its impact on all arts sectors. And talking about the film industry, I feel the film releases have been moved or delayed in the cinemas and movie theaters closing. The global box office has dropped to, I think, by billions of dollars. While on the other side, as you mentioned, the OTT and the streaming platforms has been more popular at this point of time. Having said that, the stock of the film distributors has dropped automatically, which is clearly visible. And
there is a supply
many
side
blockbusters
and there is a demand side issue. You were not being able to create content, and again, from a demand standpoint, people were not going to cinema halls, which were not open. But I was talking to the head of Amazon Prime during the day, and the numbers in terms of consumption of content on streaming services are mind-boggling. About 400 the top cities beyond metros. The age groups are not just millennials, but people who are 60, 70 years old. And the beauty is both the AVOD business and the SVOD business. The free, the free advertising-led model and the paid subscription-led model, both are growing. So clearly there are opportunities for more content creation that COVID has thrown because of OTT's growth. Do you see that in the next 4 to 6 months in some way making up for the loss you had in the last 8 months?
Exactly. I think I'm looking forward to OTT like never before, because I had this blockage in my mind. In fact, all the movie stars or anybody who does a movie do have this blockage that they'll only hit the big screen. But with OTT doing so much and creating so much avenues and also so much profit, there's a lot of profit for artists because firstly, I could see a lot of...
The Amazon of the world are putting serious money into content. And Satrupa, I know this syndrome of the big screen, and we all are screenagers. We may not be teenagers, but I do everything on the screen. And I want to give you 2 data points. One data point is that when a movie in North would be released to get its distribution in the South, I mean, we are the lowest penetrated in terms of big screens in the world per million. China, US are hugely ahead of us. So suddenly an OTT is ensured that much larger number of audiences consume the content. So I think over a period of time that mind shift will happen, that actually the small screen is the big screen. I think that is what Rishabh, we'll come back to you, Satrupa. Rishabh, let me bring you conversation. Fragrances, perfumes, I keep joking that I put on my, webinar perfume, if there's something like that. I mean, just before I go to a webinar. But perfumes give you confidence. Perfumes are in some way, like aroma. You drink a certain tea because it gives you color therapy, aromatherapy. And there is perfume therapy. Clearly, aroma can soothe nerves. It can help you feel better. Tell us, how have your business been? Because I can tell you that lipstick sales dropped because women are covering their faces because we all are wearing masks. The lipstick sales dropped, but cream sales, kajal sales, all have gone up. So tell us what is happening with the perfumes. You'll have to unmute yourself, Rishabh. Unmute is this very popular word in 2020.
So hi Anurag and hi everyone on the panel. Thank you for having me here. So I was just listening to that conversation you were having with Satrupa about changing trends. So I think there are some changes which are likely to be permanent, and there's going to be a paradigm shift. So I think while the pandemic has affected various businesses, various business models in different ways, of which a lot of these changes are going to remain, and some which may go back to the old normal over a period of time. And I think fragrance, the industry I'm in from is fragrances from various applications. So it could be creams, it could be soaps, it could be detergents. And as you said, Anurag, today fragrances which make you feel good, those sales have really gone up. The fragrances which make you feel more clean, more hygienic, fragrances which make you more conscious. So I think there's a huge shift in terms of thought processes that people have, and there's a huge shift in terms of how people look at things. So I think all manufacturers, all producers, all traders, all the businesses will have to kind of reconfigure their plans to appeal to the new requirements or the emerging requirements that are there. I think in the last 8 months, we must have used more sanitizers than the cumulative history of sanitizers ever produced globally. I think, so it's a new normal, and perhaps we may not continue to use it the way we do, but I'm sure certain habits that we have formed of cleaning your hands before you touch anything, or continuously being conscious of what you're touching, what you're doing, and things like that. There are certain habits which are going to stay. Home aroma has been,
we are spending much more time in our homes more than ever. So
absolutely,
the smell of the room matters. I spent more time in my home than I ever spent in my whole working life, which is about 26 years.
Today afternoon, I had a very interesting conversation with a gentleman who is one of the largest suppliers of photo frames in the country. And he said our entire business used to be essentially corporate sales or bulk sales of what they call institutional sales, hotels, museums, and things like that. And he says now the retail has picked up where everybody says, oh, I have a webinar at home, kuch acha backdrop do mere ko. So, there is a huge opportunity for everyone, which we perhaps may not even have.
I think, Rishabh, you have to come out with a webinar perfume, which makes you more confident. I'm sure it will be the best seller. But
it is there. It is there. There are people. I have actually seen an ad which says, organize your webinar with more confidence, use this fragrance.
Okay. Clearly, I'm thinking on the right line. You would employ me as your product manager if you needed one. But honestly, thought, Rishabh, if we were at 100 rupees in March in terms of the size of the market and in terms of sales, where are we in November?
I would say because I think, this number is actually not, will be...
I know it's a very fragmented sector.
So more than fragmented, I think, there will be a blip in terms of actual projection because of the festivities. See,
right.
From
the temporary lift off that has happened. It's the wedding season.
Correct.
Again, we're back to 50 guests in a wedding. It was
I think now that Diwali is over, this quarter is going to be crucial to really see what recovery is happening. You can confidently say because of the bump in with festive season requirements and demand and stuff like that, we could be close to 70-75% of what we were. But typically, this is not the bump we were expecting, when the pandemic happened. But whether this stays or not, whether we are going to be able to sustain this kind of situation or not going forward. So I think this quarter now post Diwali is going to be crucial for most industries to see if there is a sustainable growth happening, recovery happening.
Beautifully put, Rishabh. Kumar Anubhav, let us bring you in the conversation. We'd love your opening comments on how have you done in the last 8 months? What are you doing to pivot in your business? And how do you see the business and economy environment as you go forward?
Thank you, Anurag, all the panelists and the viewers. Thank you so much for inviting. Well, ours is primarily an initiative which is working with the rural pockets of India, and that's the one which has been the worst impacted. I wouldn't say that not the least. Unfortunately, if I look at the kind of business we are into, we are trying to, just in one sentence, I can say that we are trying to generate livelihood for the rural communities of India by capitalizing and monetizing on their cultural and heritage, which is the core asset of those people. Now, unfortunately, I'm using travel as a channel. The traveling is the core means of actually, bringing travel as a focus, which actually brings a lot of economy, which actually creates value chain across sector. The moment a person leaves Delhi, Mumbai, he spends money at so many layers. All those things got stopped. Now, to your question, like in last 8 months, one of the biggest problem which these people faced on the ground, I was coming back just yesterday itself, those problems are not seen by the people back in the cities. See, in the cities and so-called the exposure world, people do have understanding, do have knowledge about what's happening across the world. They are reading newspapers, they have access to so many people. When you look at these extreme rural pockets, unfortunately, these people do not have access to any of these things because they read the local newspapers and they're getting many news, they're getting even from the WhatsApp, the televisions, the newspapers, they get confused. What should we do now? That's the biggest thing which I actually realized, from not one community, I'm talking from north to south, even from the northeast to Rajasthan also, people were confused what to do next. Every time the local administration, district administration, state government, they are saying different things, which is fine also because it's all contextual. So that's what
complex, and they're dealing with it for the first time. And there I say it's been a patchwork pandemic because every state government has had a different rule. I mean, imagine if you live in Delhi and you have to go to Noida, or if you live in Gurgaon, but you have to go to work in Noida. During lockdown, it was very confusing. Can I go or not go? I'm talking of Delhi, Noida. Yes. Imagine in states where the information was scarce, how it would be. Though the spread was, thank God, it was lesser than the major cities. But go on and above, you're serving the real Bharat and people who are really bottom of the pyramid and who really need more help than anybody else. So go on, tell us what have you been able to achieve for them in the last 8 months.
Yeah, and in that case, more so when somebody's direct economy is dependent upon an ecosystem, which actually has been stopped because of this thing. And those people who are not so smart or intelligent enough to run the entire business, or they do not understand every dynamics of the entire travel industry. All that they understand, when a traveler is coming to me, I have to do these two things. The moment they do not come up, they run the business. They trust to actually that, okay, this particular entity was sufficient for my family survival, for the education and everything. That actually, is put into question. It's not about, okay,
they are a friend for their basic needs. Yeah. You're saying for them it is not about business growth. It's about survival. I think one of the things I've been saying over the last 3.5 years is if spiritual tourism grows in India, if cultural tourism, which is about soaking in experiences, not staying in a 5-star hotel, but going to the nearest village and staying in an Indian version of an Airbnb, eating the local food. I mean, at the end of life is about discovery. It's about curiosity. And India has so much to offer. So the only silver lining in this dark cloud being, once the vaccine comes, which will come in the next 60 to 90 days, and once the distribution starts, I think the fear factor around travel will go away. And the biggest beneficiary of that will be these, cultural entrepreneurs, these tourism aficionados who will provide a unique cultural experience. For example, in education, Vipin, one of the biggest advantage the Indian universities will have is parents will not send their children necessarily abroad. I mean, the US economy depends on the, Indians and other nationalities getting their children studying in US. Just to tell you, the student loans in the US are $1 trillion, just the student loans. And, an average student who takes the loan at 25 pays it at the age of 35. So they will all study in India. So Indian educational ecosystem over the next 3-5 years will benefit. And India over the next 12 to 24 months, with government intervention, with policy initiatives that incentivize, Atmanirbhar, India will see the light of the day. Vipin, the sector that you are in has seen a sea change in the last 8 months. What are the new opportunities you are sensing? And are you very optimistic about the future, or do you think we should be cautiously optimistic?
I think what I see, there's a lot of opportunity in coming days, whether 3 months down the line or 6 months down the line, or 1 year down the line. The reason being that as I mentioned, that every human being on this planet is trying to save his life because of this virus. Now, with COVID coming in, people are more precautious about their health, about their immunity, about their family side. Hence, I see a lot of opportunity in terms of the health sector growing up and overall this industry booming up. We have seen in last 7-8 months there has been a lot of ups and downs. But in terms of opportunity, the new product segment, whether it is the immunity boosting products or anything which helps bringing up the immunity, has really worked well. And I think
and on top of it, we are all direct to consumer now, direct digital to consumer. So while the omni-channel retail still is very powerful, if you look at the last 50 days sales of retailers, a lot has happened over e-commerce. Just give you a US data point. In the 20 years of e-commerce history in the US, from zero in 2000 to 2020, just before the start, we were 16% overall sales were e-commerce. In the last 8 months, that 16% has become 26%. So I have no doubt in India, all brands have become direct to consumer, digital to consumer, but the omni-channel retail is still very powerful. It works for large parts of India. Yeah.
Right.
So I know health foods and anything that is immunity boosting will only get better. And as Rishabh rightly said, there are some habits that have changed forever. We've adopted good habits. I think being fitter is one of them, and being conscious of the kind of food you put into your body is another. Satrup, if you had to look at the next 6 months, what are the kind of opportunities you see for a solo cultural entrepreneur and artist like you? Do you see more OTT work? Do you see more hosting opportunities? What is the kind? Because again, you can have a virtual persona and be a digital influencer, and that can help in monetization. What are the kind of opportunities you see over the next few months?
According to me, I have seen a lot of avenues opening for me, and which I didn't get the time to actually focus on. All the ongoing transformation, distribution, and different side of me. I'm talking, like you said, how focused we have become towards fitness, towards certain habits which we never took care of. Like I always had a schedule. I always used to travel a lot. I remember not doing movies back to back, but I always had OTT. I started OTTs long before before the lockdown started. So I finished 4 OTTs before that. So I saw myself traveling a lot. The time I got during the pandemic made me research and let me get inside myself, and I got to understand that the fitness is very important. And opportunity wise, I think I have taken my job more seriously now. And every smallest work coming my way, maybe a TVC casting, everything is happening from home at the moment, but maybe a TVC casting or a normal print campaign shoot is becoming so important for me that the things which I've taken for granted has become very, very important, and I'm giving my 100%.
I think we are all grateful for what we have, and we take whatever we have more seriously. And you're right. In April, I was talking to Baman Irani, and he was actually shooting an ad in his living room. He didn't have to go anywhere. He was shooting an ad. So clearly,
I shot 4 ads.
have become self-reliant. Yes. So
I shot 4 ads in my living room.
Yeah, in lesser budgets. Of course, the celebrities get still a lot back, but the production costs have come down. Harshvardhan, if you had one tip for the finance minister, you are a CA, you have a legal degree, you run a business, you are president of
not a CA, but
commerce. You are a lawyer. But you understand business.
Of course, yeah.
What can the government do to unlock the economy?
One of the finest mantras that have come out from this particular pandemic is vocal for local. That is a very, very loaded statement, because it can be a game changer for every sector and every geographical touch point. Because vocal for local is we can do so much with it, because the local economy can be boosted by doing small things like spending. Because I feel India's strength is the numbers, and India's strength will always be its internal consumption, always. Because now the challenge is, how can the local players adapt themselves to the digital world and be available and play and pit against the big daddies of the digital economy. So my whole focus is going to be on local consumption.
This is the Business World NewsX initiative, Atmanirbhar Mission. Joining me on the broadcast, they are continuing with me a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of startup founders, and I have a very interesting, intriguing question for Anubhav Kumar. You're the owner for Not On Map, and a very interesting name for your startup company that you've come up with. There is a high focus with regards to tourists, and tourists are not traveling abroad a lot. How well have they gone ahead and initiated themselves with the concept that you're offering? If you could just describe to us the concept, obviously going ahead and bringing nondescript locations, a lot of rural India into the foray at this point of time, and that serves purpose because at the end of the day, more remote a place, less of the chances of a person going ahead and contracting the disease.
Right. Thank you so much, Megha. Primarily, just to explain, as you asked about how are we functioning in terms of travelers going to the remote areas. We are using travel as a channel where the development of the community takes place. Travel is not here in this case only for the experience. Rather, the traveler would come there for participating in bringing a change in the lives of the community members, which could be across art, craft, painting, agriculture, it could be education, healthcare, a lot of other areas also.
Yeah.
But as you rightly said, that okay, since the travelers, international travel has come to a kind of a full stop almost in terms of the travel, leisure travel. This is definitely domestic travel has increased. It was kind of, I would say, the question which Anurag was also asking earlier to someone. For us, like the travel has been full stop, zero, it was nil till almost like I would say September or October mid, I would say. After that, some of the influx of travelers started happening, but it was primarily from people who could actually drive down, primarily with people who could actually, have a traveling distance of not more than 10 hours, and also people who could stay there for a little longer time, short-term destinations were not so much, These three were the criteria which people chose. However, they were always concerned for this, okay, is it safe? Safety was one of the biggest things.
Absolutely.
And the definition of safety was beyond just having just COVID tested stuff, it was beyond. So the definition of cleanliness, that became altogether new. The norm of safety actually got changed, and that is where we actually trained our community members, not just the homestay, not just the community, but all the stakeholders who are involved in the entity, so that the travelers also build trust to actually come forward. So it's kind of a very, very nascent, I would call, and not there at all.
Okay, all right. And I think Harshvardhan was also talking about the same thing during the break when he went ahead and said that in Goa as well, which is his, from where he goes ahead and works and lives over there, that Harshvardhan, these tiny spots, remote areas are the ones that are witnessing a lot of focus, with a lot of tourists now looking to explore these nondescript places, these remote places. How has tourism changed in Goa?
So there are two types of tourism now in Goa. There is a sense of a long-term tourism in Goa. There are people who are coming from the metros and who are like new settlers / tourists. So they are exploring Goa as travelers, but they are also working out from Goa. So one of the big changes is in the rental market. People are no longer looking at renting out properties or villas or apartments for say 12 months or 2 years. They're looking at something like 15 days, 1 month, 2 months, so that they can up their rents. So that's a huge difference. Another thing is that Goa's tourism policy itself has taken a huge change. From being a seaside destination, Goa is planning to focus its hinterlands, its heritage, its culture, which is something which is a total paradigm shift in terms of its positioning. All this while people came to Goa, and especially the foreign tourists who come to Goa, they come here for a very, very specific reason, which is the warm winters. Because Goa offers warm winters, which is like pretty much like summertime in the West. So they come here to get away from the cold biting winters. But now what is happening is that Goa's tourism focus will definitely change towards the Indian tourists and the inbound tourists who come from the neighboring states. And that has been happening on a very, very big level. Because from say the late 60s to 2019 on, the entire stretch was on focusing on getting international travelers. But today, the reality is that Goa will be supported by Indian travelers.
Absolutely.
And that's going to be the big difference.
Yes, that's making a huge difference. That's why exactly there's a 30-40% comeback with regards to the travelers coming in to Goa. That is a very, very good, significant sign of growth and progress.
If I have to supplement what Megha is saying, I think one of the ways Goa can benefit as an economy is saying we have the cleanest air in the world, and we have water and we have Goa. I think a lot of people, and now we know we can work remotely. We now know that we can.
There are a lot of people who are working from Goa, see, the thing is that
I know Minya Chatterjee, with whom we collaborate on our sustainability work, is there. I know Rishabh Premji is working from Goa, right? I know lots of my friends were.
So the beauty of Goa is the quality of life that Goa offers you. The quality of life is unprecedented. There's total peace over here. There is national beauty, and everybody would want to own a slice of Goa. Why not?
Absolutely, agreed, and totally. And let's move our subject from travel and tourism, and how domestic travel has obviously increased and now is burgeoning, is getting revived. A good sign when it comes to the states and regions that are revenue driven or that are completely tourism driven. Coming back to Rishabh Kothari, Rishabh. Fragrances, I was trying to understand, obviously, do you think there has been obviously a drop when it comes to the sales, marketing has reduced, advertising has reduced, but taking a look at going ahead and completely changing the dynamics of how you go ahead and sell your fragrances. Are you also going ahead and coupling it with something with regards to a clean fragrance, with regards to a sanitizer that also plays as a perfume, because I can understand that people would be a little wary until and unless there is a particular brand, and a brand that they go ahead and relate themselves with, they are loyal to and they look up to, they are going to be a little wary about the fact that if they want to use that particular spray onto their body, lest they go ahead and contract the virus. I don't know, what are the kind of queries, what are the kind of fears that you've gone ahead and witnessed from the customers that you've been interacting with, communicating with, obviously your potential ones as well, and the ones that have been with you in the past several years?
Well, I mean, it's not only a cliche when they say that every crisis is an opportunity. And I think this pandemic is a huge example of that, and especially with the fragrance industry, because as you mentioned, there is a large segment of brand loyalty where people tend to use certain brands, they tend to work with certain products and certain types and certain fragrances.
Yeah.
We are very comfortable in a certain zone. But here comes a pandemic, and then it disrupts the way we think, it disrupts the way we live, it disrupts our choices. See, people are at home, their entire lifestyle has changed, and now suddenly they want things which make them feel more confident, make them feel more safe, it makes them feel more clean, hygienic, and more natural.
Yeah.
So the whole narrative of how you even approach a product has changed. So the people who have been smart enough to pick on that change narrative are the ones who have been able to make a headway.
So have you brought in some new innovative products that have gone ahead and done good business? And also are you getting a lot of queries saying that, is this safe? Can I use it? I mean, I don't know.
Of course. I mean, did you hear of a vegetable washer before 3 months?
Yes. No.
Suddenly there is a product called a vegetable washer, which we have been in this industry for 30 years.
Yeah.
I have not heard of it.
Right.
Suddenly you have as I mentioned earlier, we are selling sanitizers more like more sanitizers.
But I think that's good hygiene. I think that should continue for perpetuity. Yes.
No, so it's about, it's not that the habit could not have been formed earlier.
But
the product was around all the while.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember when people were fussy enough to carry a sanitizer and do things, somebody else would say, "Yaar, ye to nakhra marta hai," or something like that.
Absolutely, yes.
And now suddenly it has become a good habit. So I think it's about changing lifestyles, changing thinking, and seeing how you can capitalize on that. There are new product categories, there are new approaches to products. Today, people are looking for fragrances. Suddenly, people want something which will make people feel safe. I have actually had people who are saying, give me a fragrance which would remind them of a children's talcum powder.
Right.
And why a children's talcum powder? Because it makes you feel good. It makes you feel safe.
Yeah.
See, there is a very
I'm not
subtle.
surprised. Rishan, I'm not at all surprised. And you know, Satrupa, today we are talking to you when it's the International Men's Day. You and Megha are the minority on the panel today. But let me.
A very happy International Men's Day to all the men in the panelists.
Absolutely. Yes.
I think now there'll be I'm sure there's an International Fragrance Day too, and we'll celebrate that. But I want to ask all the panelists two questions. One, what are your top lockdown lessons? What have you learned as an entrepreneur that will hold you in good stead throughout your life, throughout your career, throughout your stint as an entrepreneur? Second, when do you see the Indian economy coming back in full bloom? In 6 months, 12 months, 18 months? And qualify your answer. Let me start by asking my friend Harsh first. Harsh, what are your top lockdown lessons?
My top lockdown lesson has been to be grateful to the gods, to my well-wishers, to my family, and I've suddenly become a more mellow person the last few months. But that's largely because you realize how fragile you are as a human, how insignificant you are as a human being on this entire huge planet. And another thing is that we are also extremely lucky to be to be living in an area like Goa where there's at least clean air to live, like you said. And so far as the Indian economy is concerned, I feel maybe 12 months would be something that it would require for the economy to bounce back. Because of the simple fact is that a large part of India is very entrepreneurial in its attitude, and they will find every way to make their businesses work despite policy or whatever challenges that they have. So I would say that India's entrepreneurial DNA will be the driving force for the next few months in the country and for the growth. Of course, a large part of that will depend on the vaccine and the efficacious solution that the vaccine may provide, and that will at least throw the fear out of the window for some of us. So I would say India's entrepreneurial DNA will be the driving force.
Absolutely. I just want to build on what you said. I believe, one, for the first time, the Prime Minister has raised their ambition by talking of, building not just for India, Bharat, but building for a global market. And, that change may not happen over the next few months. It may take many years, but that seed has been sown. Second is we are used to doing more with less. We do with less funding, we create much bigger enterprises. Third, we are inherently resilient. There is a family system that keeps us going. We are rooted in values that are all about resilience. And fourth, we continue to be the largest market in the world. We have real consumers who are spending power even in the pandemic. People have saved more in the last 8 months. You're absolutely right. Let me bring in Satrupa. Satrupa, what are your top lockdown lessons?
So I have just realized I've become more compassionate and also got more kinder towards dealing with people. I started feeling for everybody when I see somebody generally in Mumbai, they knock the windows while you're driving, asking for money. I've become more compassionate, and I started feeling for people more deeply nowadays. And I started addressing everybody, got more communicative. I take the smallest work more seriously now. So everything by choice, which I took for granted. We all have this habit when you have excess of things.
Satrupa, we are strange. We are strange. Human beings are strange. They forget easily. They go back to old habits.
Yes.
And we take things for granted. Like we take up the planet for granted. Yes. We now know what happens in one part of the world impacts us. It's not, we're all interconnected.
Yes.
And we get impacted with what happens in the Amazon rainforest as much as what happens in our locality. So clearly we know that we need to be more sensitive to our environment, to people. The planet is more important. The people are more important. The purpose is more important. Profits are important because businesses need to be sustainable. but they're not the most important thing.
Right.
Really, you learned the right lessons. I hope they stay with all of us, and we
and with
become a habit and not just something that we did while we were in a certain kind of environment. Vipin, what are your top lockdown lessons, and when do you see the Indian economy coming back in full bloom?
So I think there are three lessons which I have from this lockdown period. One is, from an unhealthy, busy life coming to, a normal life, spending more time with your family, with your friends, especially, with your parents, wife, daughter, learning from them. So there's so many things, my daughters have been teaching me in the lockdown, which even I didn't know. So both are, young, one is 12 and one is 6-year-old. So they have been teaching me so many things. So I think spending more time with my family, bringing, the bonding back to family, this is the one lesson. Second is, obviously, from a fast life coming to, the digital life. Generally you were out for, some or another thing. Now, everything becoming digital because you can't move out from your home. So I think that was another lesson in learning for all of us to, become more digital. And that would be that, doing the business in all the circumstances. I being an entrepreneur, having, the small startup which I have. So I have done everything from billing till packaging, till logistic, till, chasing the Amazon or a Flipkart guy to pick the order, delivering them on different roads in lockdown. So I think doing everything in all the circumstances, and as you rightly said that, doing more in less is what, the three lessons I have.
And when do you see the economy coming back in full bloom?
See, I am quite positive that, the economy will come back. When it will come back, we never know. But I think with the COVID vaccine news coming in that, most of the companies are ready, 90, 99, 92%, 95%.
Really, whenever there is a vaccine or COVID wanes down, my hunch is in 6 months it will come back. The $1 trillion question is when. I think we're all very convinced about the Indian economy, its robustness, and we know that in the next 12, 24 months, we will be very big. And, again, even if you look at the recovery, I think the recovery is much better than what we expected. As Rishabh rightly said, we have to look beyond the festive season. Will it last with the same fervor? And my hunch is the moment government has a handle around the vaccine and COVID goes down a little bit, the government will start to do massive public spending, which will create its own set of demand, which will shore up the economy. Today, we are sitting on almost $600 billion of foreign reserves. Our economy is fundamentally strong. Our banking system has been cleaned to some extent, not fully. I think we'll know next year where we are, but we fundamentally still a very strong banking system in spite of an odd failure here and an odd failure there, which is really from the past this government is carrying. This government has been very, very conservative and rightly so in its approach to managing public money. Rishabh, when will the Indian economy come back? And what are your top lockdown lessons?
Well, I echo with everyone else on the panel about how some of the fundamental values that we have, how this pandemic has been a huge lesson in terms of how we are living and what our lifestyles are, and how we need to reconnect within our immediate environment, our family, and of course, I think for me personally, also within. So I'm a part of a meditation practice called Heartfulness, and I've been doing that for a long, long time. But I think the pandemic was a huge lesson in how to intensify that reconnection that we at times take granted of what is within us. So that's in terms of lesson number one, that's been a huge lesson. And the other is, I think, from a business point of view as an individual, is the fact that there are a lot of barriers that we create on our own minds. As entrepreneurs, as businessmen, we think, oh, this is not possible. I mean, I remember doing events, going to meetings, traveling 20 days a month, just trying to meet business associates or industry professionals. And we are doing all that on using various mediums like Zoom today. It is not that I was not aware of Zoom earlier, but there was a mental barrier that how do I do this, or how, will it really work? So I think the ability to unshackle our mind and break the barriers and look at other options, which also includes opportunities for business. So I think these are the two major takeaways: intensifying your relationship with yourself within your heart, and of course your relationship with your immediate environment. That's a biggest takeaway, and how to unshackle the mind. To the second question that you mentioned about the economy. So today we had an event where we were talking to Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal, who is the principal economic advisor to the Government of India, Ministry of Finance. And he pointed out that the government has very consciously not spent the entire tranche of whatever their ammunition is to kickstart the economy at one go, like what has happened with, say, several of the Western economies. And which today looks like a very smart plan. As Anurag ji, you mentioned that as soon as there is a handle on the vaccine, there is likely to be a massive stress on public spending. You're already seeing phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 of government packages, and more are on the offing. So instead of trying to do everything at the same time, they are calibrating their moves. So far, the results have been very encouraging. The vaccine is likely to come much earlier than what was anticipated. The people who were talking about Armageddon and millions of Indians getting infected and dying, of course, that has come unstuck. Those predictions have gone wrong, which fortunately. And I think so we are on the, I mean, of course, when I said that this quarter is crucial, that's more to be on the, I don't want to be pessimistic. It's more to be cautious. But I'm personally feeling, my personal feeling is India is a very resilient country. Our economy is also showing great signs of resilience. Even with the pandemic, today automobiles are showing extremely high sales. I mean, who's buying cars?
You know, it's explainable because everyone's need for personal mobility has gone up. People want to be safe. But fundamentally, you're right that
Anurag, no, but personal mobility, that does not explain why Mercedes-Benz has the best quarter. I mean, I can understand more i10s and the more Marutis being sold. But if Mercedes-Benz also says this is their best quarter in the last 2 years, obviously there is something which we are missing in the pie.
Possibly.
So it's not just personal mobility. Of course, two-wheeler sales have gone through the roof, no doubt.
Four-wheelers, two-wheelers, and that's related with what's happening in China. So you're right. You've given the right example in terms of economic green shoots being visible and being visible in a big way. Kumar, Anubhav, what are your top lockdown lessons?
We'll have to keep it. We have to keep it very, very short. And give you 30 seconds, and then we can go ahead because I'm short of time.
Yeah. So I mean, apart from what everybody said, I think the quickest will be that what was a niche earlier is a necessity today. Like sustainability is the basic foundation. Ideally, it should be. It was earlier considered as okay, it's good to have. I think now it's required to have a must-have in a lot of our different layers of different industries. But as Anurag, you also said that it's something like bringing a cultural transformation. It's not easy. It takes generation, and that is where we need to bring in some level of policy level changes. If government doesn't come up with a policy, maybe internally in a small cocoon zone also, we actually make it. Maybe like NewsX comes up with its own policy within the organization that for sustainability we are going to follow these things, and likewise it applies to all of us and all the viewers also. I think that is one of the learnings which I would say, and being agile is the it's been talked about as the methodology, but then this is something which is an
inherent part of our DNA.
Yeah.
And Megha, now that you got a week to think about what you want to build on in terms of what is your top 3 reflections from Goa?
Top 3 reflections from Goa. I think the only reflection from Goa would be to never come back because it was so refreshing and a recuperating trip that I had.
From 50 particulate matter air to some
absolutely very clean air. Hardly any need to wear the mask. Yes.
You're clearly very brave. You came back to Delhi. I think we should recommend you for the Red and White Bravery Awards for 2021 for coming back to Delhi from Goa. But on a serious note, back to you again, Megha.
Yes, I thank all my guests. I thank Dr. Anurag Batra as well for getting such a commendable, great panel yet again. Day after day, every week. We have been doing it for months. We will continue to do it for further more months because these are interesting chats. We get insights from the business person's perspective. They are startups that have obviously gone on the shutdown mode during the pandemic and lockdown, but now they are reviving, and how it is going to be this quarter that is going to be very, very crucial. There are a lot of actions that are being taken at the government level as well to go ahead and revive this economy. I will take a break. I thank all my guests once again for joining me on this broadcast.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.